I am recording.
Recording.
Ba, ba,
Ba,
ba.
ba, ba. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 626th episode of the Pokemon Podcast. It's super effective. I'm your host, Steve. With me is Hannah.
I am here. I am still exhausted. Yeah. Not in a totally bad way, but yeah.
Long weekend. Greg also here.
I am also here. I'm almost back to normal, but
Okay.
I think I don't know if I was up more than Hannah. Hannah, we had a pretty wild sleep schedule. My sleep schedule was not normal. My little device was like, this week is a loss. Just give it up. Forget about it.
Yep. Yeah, no, I gave up on Pokemon Sleep during Go Fest. I tried for the first night, and then I decided, nope, I'm waking up at a time that is 3:30 in the morning in my brain, and I am really trying to not feel that. I'm not even gonna think about it.
I got a B week. A B.
A
Stab
B.
me in the heart.
I don't even know what I
How
got this
dare.
week. Well, we got a pretty big show for you guys. We only have 3 topics, but there's some big Pokemon Sleep news. We're going to talk about the anniversary event, which is happening. And then after the break, we're going to talk about Pokemon GO Fest New York, since the 3 of us went there. And then after that, the Pokemon Company revealed pretty much the next 2 months of Scarlet and Violet content. It's not DLC. It's just more raids and outbreaks and all that other stuff, but still content nonetheless. So let's we got a lot to get through, and it's Go Fest this weekend, the global Go Fest. So we're recording this early because not to take away time from global Go Fest on Sunday, which is a different day than Saturday, whatever Niantic is doing. Because all the Ultra Beasts will
sentence.
What? Because all the Ultra Beasts will be in raids on Saturday, but they won't be in raids on Sunday because it's a different day.
Yes, the event is different on different days.
Yeah, that made sense grammatically.
I mean, I guess we got there.
Pokemon Sleep. This is off Pokemon.com. Celebrate with Sprigatito, Fuecoco, and Quaxley during the Pokemon Sleep first anniversary event to commemorate 1 year of resting your very best with the newly arriving Pokemon special missions, login bonuses, and more. From Monday, July 15th at 4 a.m. to Monday, July 29th. Hey, that's my birthday. You can take part in Pokemon Sleep Pokemon's Sleep First Anniversary Fest. This event kicks off with the debut of the Paldea starter Pokemon. You're more likely to encounter this trio during the event. That's not all you'll experience. You'll also get special missions to reward items such as Sprigatito Incense, Fuecoco Incense, Quaxley Incense. Before the first anniversary event officially begins, you can earn up to 1,050 bonus sleep points just by logging in from Sunday, July 7th to July 13th. You can collect 150 bonus points every day. And then if you happen to miss a day, don't worry. You can collect all the points that have been given out if you log in on as long as you log in before Sunday, September 22nd. So that's not late news technically, because you'll still be able to get it. There will be also special bundle anniversary boxes that will scam you out of your money. It doesn't say that on the website. I added the word scam because they are expensive. They're 1,500 gems, which is like $23, I think, or something like that.
Something like that.
Too much. Too much money.
But you could buy all 3, and that's like $60.
I mean, I guess.
If you like, this is what I want to give them. So I guess we were right in them delaying Suicune in this. Well, not like delaying, but like Suicune is on pause because this event is.
Yeah, it's not going to be legendaries 1 month after another.
Yeah. It is a little there's a lot of information here, so we'll try to break it down. It's a 2-week long event, and the first week you don't have to go to Greengrass, but it's only taking place on Greengrass. So you kind of have to that
Can't
first
have
week.
to.
If you were like, no, I hate Paldea, then yes, I guess go to any other location. But event area week 1 will be Greengrass. Event area week 2, you can go anywhere. And now Greengrass has all the starters. But the second week, if you go back to Greengrass, you're going to get Sprigatito, Florigato, Meowscarada, Fuecoco, and Quaxley. If you decide to go to Scion Beach the second week, you can do Fuecoco, Crocalor, Skeledirge, Quaxley, Quaxwell, Quaquaval. If you go to Taupe Hollow, that's Fuecoco, Crackalor, Skeledirge. If you go to Snowdrop, nothing.
Don't go to Snowdrop. They aren't ice starters.
And then if you go to Lapis Lakeside, you'll get Sprigatito, Florigato, Meowscarada, Quaxley, Quaxwell, Quaquaval.
That is already my week 2 destination, I've decided.
I think
Really?
that's my week 2 destination as well.
That's my week 2 destination. I am not a huge Fuecoco fan, so I'll take the others. Thank you.
It's also not great. Doesn't have a great ability. Main skill.
Yeah, Hannah, do you want to talk about the 3 main skills? Because they are not the same as our first set of starters.
Yeah, so the main skills for all of these new Pokemon in the game have already been, the data's already there, we can tell what they are. All 3 of the lines are going to be ingredients finders, and all 3 of the lines are going to change types as they evolve. So once Meowscarada becomes Meowscarada, it will be dark, Skeledirge will be ghost, and Quaquaval will be fighting, whereas their pre-evolutions are all the main starter types. Each of their main skills are different. The Sprigatito line has the Cooking Power-Up S main skill, so that's the one that makes your pot bigger for more ingredients as you cook your meals. The Fuecoco line has the Charge Energy S skill, so that one is only going to restore energy to itself, which is why I don't think it's as good as the others. And the Quaxley line is going to have the Charge Strength M, and that's the skill that I'm never quite sure how I feel about it. That's just going to increase Snorlax's strength.
Yeah, the real hardcore whales love the Charge M because they can put all their seeds and candy, and it is really powerful, but like you have to get it to level 6 or level 7 for it to really be influential, and that's a lot of resources that even somebody who is paying $10 a month just for the pass, they don't. That's me. I don't have access to that.
You say it's you.
that is like real hardcore whale. I think Quaquaval seems very similar to like the Golduck line in that sense, but just fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And Golduck is water. But they're both ducks, so that there's at least synergy there.
Duck team.
I think that so the Eevee line is one of the more complicated lines in the game because they do change when they evolve. There are other Pokemon that change when they evolve, like Pupitar changes to Dark, goes from Rock to Dark when it goes to Tyranitar. Swablu goes from Flying to Dragon when it evolves into Altaria. There was a point I was going there. Going back to the Eevee line. This, I think, pretty much makes Glaceon completely useless. So if you like Glaceon, 1, I'm sorry. But two, Glaceon wasn't really super strong, and Meowscarada is dark, which Dark and Ice are both on Snowdrop, and they both end up doing the cooking pot thing. And it just because the starters have been very powerful compared to other Pokemon, it just seems like Meowscarada will make Glaceon pretty obsolete. We've already started seeing this power creep with Ralts and Beware and what was the last one? Oh, Dragonite. And like ultimately, technically, Ralts makes like Wigglytuff and Sylveon obsolete because it is the best one of those. They're still like niche cases, of course, and like you should still get a Wigglytuff if you're still a beginner, because it takes a while to get a Ralts. As somebody who has had Lapis unlocked for several months, I still do not have a good enough Ralts. So just, but yeah, I think this is just a little bit more of a power creep. Nothing like that's going to break the game, but at least in the Glaceon situation, it seems like maybe go the Meowscarada route. Also, like, Meowscarada is real popular.
It is. It also seems like it might be the best of all of these starters.
Oh, I agree. I think so, yeah.
Just type-wise and skill-wise.
There might even be a case of keeping it as a Floragato.
Mm-hmm. So that it stays grass.
For Lapis. Yeah. Which there is no grass cooking pot up, so that's something. There's some other events or other things that are happening. Research will be multiplied by 1.5. Few Pokemon will appear regardless of the sleep. A dream gift can be received each day. During the first week, one Pokemon will arrive hungry for sure. The chance of a Pokemon's main skill trigger will be 1.5. Certain Pokemon more likely to appear. The second week, the number of candies gained through sleep will be multiplied 1.5. Final dishes gained will be multiplied by 1.5, or 3 for extra tasty dishes, or 4.5 for extra tasty dishes on Sunday. So get your Cramorants. Rev up those Cramorants for the second week. Certain Pokemon more likely appear during sleep research, and then the limited time mini candy boost function will return. So I think we pounded this drum for months that, like, if you want new players to come to the game, legendaries and starter Pokemon are like the easy, low-hanging fruit to get people to jump on board for your game.
And they know this. And they are very effectively using it.
And then we talked about their types changing and their skills are different. And then the only other Pokemon Sleep news is, where did that article go? That Pokemon Sleep hit 100 million downloads. Oh no, sorry, it made 100. Where is this article? Hold on. It made $100 million in revenue its first year. There we go. And that is off gamesindustry.biz. As reported by Pocket Gamer, Japan was in the top spot for players spending, and players have contributed $73 million since its launch in July. U.S. players. Greg, you got to step it up. You and the other U.S. players have only contributed $15 million.
Look, I'm not spending a dime until my favorite Pokemon makes it into that game. Until then, they're cut off.
And then Taiwan spent $4 million in the game. Pokemon Sleep has seen peaks of revenue during the height of 2023 holiday period, where $4 million were earned in a week of the last December. Was there an event? There was like a Christmas/New Year's event, wasn't there? With like Delibird?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then 44% of the players, or 44% of the downloads are from Japan, 17% from the US, and 7% from Taiwan. So those are your three biggest markets. I think for Pokemon Go, the three biggest markets are obviously US and Japan, and I think the third one is actually Germany. And that's why there was a lot of Pokemon Go Fest for several years in Germany. There's no secret there of like why they kept going back to Germany. So I think, let me see if I can pull these numbers up. I'm pretty sure Pokemon Masters EX made $70 million in its first year. and Pokemon Go made, I believe, $450 million in its first year.
Okay. So Pokemon Sleep's doing pretty well,
Yeah.
all things considered.
I think 25% of what Pokemon Go did is really good.
That's very good.
That being said, I think, not to burst the Pokemon bubble, but I believe that Honkai Star Rail made like $25 million in its first week of being a mobile game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, okay.
the next Hoyoverse game, which is, was it called ZZZ, just came out. So I think as of recording, it's been out for a week, but we won't know what that is. But very popular, at least right now. So maybe next week when we have more time, we'll like revisit this and kind of talk about maybe comparing this to other mobile games and what they're doing. But like we were saying last week, don't know the future of Cafe Mix, but like, this is a good sign for Pokemon Sleep. $100 million in a year. And Pokemon Masters EX still seems to be very okay with their their revenue.
It's pretty solid for Pokemon Masters.
Yeah.
For Pokemon Sleep, though, I mean, they're seeming to be pretty successful, and they are still being good to their users so far. Just going back to the anniversary event, we're getting gifts every single day for 2 weeks in that app for the anniversary event, which is not something I would expect in Pokemon Go ever at any point. So I don't know. Pokemon Sleep's doing pretty good. And it's going to be an exciting 2 weeks starting the day this episode comes out.
Yeah, I think if you played Pokemon Sleep and you just didn't like it, I don't think this event is going to like convince you or change anything. But if you haven't, maybe it's time to jump back in.
I feel like this has a bigger commitment for jumping. Like, if you want to jump back into Masters, you can do a couple of pulls where you're like, yeah, I got what I wanted and I get out. Like, Sleep has a sleep commitment and days.
At least 24 hours.
To sort of be like, is this what I want?
It's very like Animal Crossing, where you can't just like sit down and play for an hour and be like, okay, I'll come back tomorrow. Here, I actually have a graphic here from the Pocket Gamer article. In June of 2024, so last month, Honkai Star Rail made $93 million. So Honkai making as much money as Pokemon Sleep in one single month.
It's a popular game.
It's very popular. Genshin Impact, which was that first Hoyoverse game, made $67 million last month. Wuthering Waves. I call it Walking Wake. Walking Wake made $50 million last month. Love and Deep Space, I have no clue what that is, but it made $31 million in the month of June. Naruto Mobile.
Yeah, that's the one.
Which it's not worldwide. It looks like it's just China.
I think it's just China.
$27 million last month. Solo Leveling Arise made $19 million. Dragon Ball Legends, I don't know if that's like a card game or what that is. $18 million last month.
There's a Dragon Ball card game. I don't know if it's Legends. I am now on the Love and Deep Space website, and I'm being blasted by music. This has got to stop.
It has to be a gacha game, right? 100% has to be just like character pulls. Puzzle and Dragons made $17 million last month. Light and Night, which looks similar to Love and Deep Space, made $16 million last month. And Fate Grind Order also made $16 million last month. No Pokemon games in the top 10 mobile gotcha, give us money sort of games.
I am so confused by this Love and Deep Space. So on features, I'm going to read you this. 3D intimate interactions, 24/7 companionship, claw machines.
You won me by claw
together.
machines.
How did we get to battles?
I have here Enfold Games, sci-fi dating sim Love and Deep Space claimed the fourth gotcha earners with $31 million. It is a decline from last month where it made $33 million. Published by China's headquarters Nike Inc. The title has positioned itself as, quote, one of the few 3D romance games.
Yep.
That's pretty unique. I mean, Pokemon Sleep is pretty unique. You are sleeping. Pokemon Sleep is also not a gotcha game.
Well,
nor is it a romance game.
Not with that attitude.
Yeah, I'm romancing Pokemon with biscuits every morning. Please join my party.
Please join my team.
All right. Well, I guess we will take a break. Happy anniversary, Pokemon Sleep. We will be right back. And we are back from our break. Let's talk about Pokemon GO Fest New York. All three of us were there. I went to all three. I've been to every GO Fest. Greg
Not every.
Yeah, not every. I've been to at least one GO Fest for every year.
Yes.
Yes.
Greg, you can start. How was your GO Fest?
I mean, had a lot of fun. The thing that made it terrible is the thing they couldn't have controlled, which was the heat. It was abysmally hot. And because of the heat, my very ancient phone by phone standards was like, I am done. I'm going to quit for a while, and would just be done and wouldn't do anything. Overall, again, the number one reason why I go to these things is to see all the people that I can see nowhere else. Like, that always is the best part of all of these events. Spending 3 days just being with like-minded and fun people and running around a big city, all trying to not pass out from heat exhaustion. It's a fun experience. The game is the game. I still think I'm always torn on the park section of it. I really wish they had more tents because the north end of that park was brutal. And everybody was like killing the grass under the few trees that existed to try to get out of the blazing heat. And I think, like, I was trying to, like, if they'd put up those misters, would that have helped? Except the humidity was so oppressive, I don't think even being misted would have helped cool people down, because we were all sweating, but it was so humid the sweat could go nowhere. So you were just always sort of damp and hot. I had a lot of fun the Saturday when it was just a bunch of us sitting in Bryant Park. We sat there for hours in the shade, and then would do little laps around. It was very comforting, and we could just see people coming and going and playing. I got my Marshadow, which I'm happy. I sort of wish they were a bit more clear about how in the park research went, because I did the first part and then we were on the north side. It's like, hey, do all these things that only exist on the south side. So then I had to go all the way around to the south side, knowing that I would do those and then have to rush back over to the north side where I just was to complete those sections of it. So I kind of wish that they were just all together as one task, so that wherever you were, you could complete that section and move to the other section. Because it didn't make sense that they were broken up. Nothing really important happened between those two
They want you to move.
plot lines. We had to move anyways.
You had
They
to
could
move
all have been one
anyways.
task. You could have started it where you were and finished it at the other.
Yeah, and you don't want people coming in all from the south entrance. You want everybody to be kind of spread out. But if the tasks are all directing you from the south to the north.
Yeah, it created a big jam in the middle with some very, very excitable volunteers who were doing anything to keep their sanity in that heat. I felt so bad for them.
Hannah, you went to last year's as well.
Yeah, it was at the same place.
What did it feel different?
Yes. Last year was not anywhere near as challenging weather-wise. That I started every single day out this past weekend going, I like it when it's humid out. I am someone who prefers being too hot to too cold. I would down like 50 ounces of liquid in the morning, thinking that would have me set for so much of the rest of the day, and then by 1 or 2 p.m. it was bad.
Yeah, it was a sweltery time in New York. And New York
Yes.
itself has so many people and so many cars that like the city itself is always just generating a lot of heat. So you're with a lot of people in a very hot place. There were a number of stores that got my business because I'm like, I'm coming in here for approximately half an hour. I went for pizza. They had the windows open and the pizza oven blasting. And I'm like, we're going to die in here. It is so hot.
Mm-hmm.
And there's hot air blowing in from outside. There's hot air blowing from their ovens. This is just miserable.
Yeah.
But when you
Last year,
could find a space in the shade and there was just every once in a while a breeze, like if you could just sit and relax, it was a lovely summer time. But if you had to go anywhere, especially if you had to go anywhere in that sun, it was like, this is bad. But I was like, I don't know that I had a fun time at the park because it was so brutal being there.
Yeah, because there's almost no shade there.
Not
and that
almost
wasn't as
none.
much of a problem last year. I don't remember it being something I really actively thought about as much. I mean, I know I got sunburnt last year. I succeeded at not getting sunburnt this year, I think. Sunscreen is good and helpful. But this year we were dodging the sun. We were headed from shady place to shady place as much as we could, except that every single shady location was completely packed. And the water refill stations were overrun throughout the entire time, every time I saw them, and it was interesting. I mean, we were all suffering together. Like you said, Greg, this is a really, really good time to see people, and it really is more for the people for me than it is for the Pokemon and for the catching anything. I didn't have any super solid goals that it would have ruined my weekend if I hadn't caught this Pokemon. That's not what Go Fest is about for me.
No.
But it was tricky, challenging weather was. I'm really hoping that my enjoyment and my happiness stayed in my voice, because I know that I probably seemed
I think everybody was slightly beat down,
Yeah.
and we were doing the best we could. Like on Saturday, I'm like, well, maybe I'll head over to the park at 1 when everything's shutting down and meet everybody, because I did not leave my hotel until 11 that morning. Because I also didn't get into my hotel until like 1 at night the night before. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll go over there. And I stepped outside. I'm like, I'm not going to that park.
Mm-hmm.
Look, if there's people there I can't see anywhere else, I'm sorry, but I am not going to that brutal park. You know.
And I went to the park 2 days in a row, because the first day I was going there to meet up with you two to take our picture. And we took the long, super hot, sweltering bridge over there that first time. Honestly, I think I took almost every single bridge over to that island other than the north-facing ones that weekend. And so I have a ranking of the bridges.
These are the good bridges, these are the bad bridges.
Yeah, the south-facing bridge is super long, super hot, bad. The northwest bridge,
yes,
that we walked over after the second day on the island, also maybe the worst experience temperature-wise I have ever experienced. It felt like walking through a desert. The Southwest Bridge. It's a shorter bridge, but it's still longer than the Southwest Bridge. The Southwest Bridge is the best bridge. There is some shade. It is somewhat cooler. There are plants. It's not just horrible.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't have spawns, so we didn't walk over that bridge.
I think it would be very hypocritical of me to, one, not talk about getting to the park, and two, taking an Uber to the park, because I have come on this show event after event being like, my feedback to Niantic was parks need to be accessible. They need to be easy to get to. Everyone remembers the internet going down in Las Vegas. That wasn't my problem in Las Vegas, because they eventually fixed it. Took them like 2 hours to fix. They extended everyone's play. That's fine. The problem with the Las Vegas park was there was no public transportation, and it was a pretty small park compared to those parks, and your only way on and off was Uber. And Uber in Las Vegas is already not a great experience. So you could take an Uber to this park. I don't know how much it was. I didn't take an Uber.
Only kind of. They really tried to make it impossible. I know there was at least one person in our group who did take an Uber to on the island and who basically got yelled at by staff of the event.
They were not happy with any individual cars at all. It was either take the bus or walk over. I saw a couple times like a car was already, and they were actively hostile, like turn around, get that out of here.
Yeah, on their map there were markings for places they wanted people to Uber to. They were all off the island, and then you would take the bridges and walk on the bridges to get on the island.
Yeah.
Which is not. These are long bridges.
They're long.
These aren't short bridges.
No, the ferry was the play. I'm solid. I am pro team ferry. My hotel was near the ferry landing for a reason. It was easy, brilliant. You're on water. It was a lovely trip both ways.
I heard the trip out was bad.
I mean, we were on the trip out. You and I were on the same ferry.
No. The trip off the island.
No. Why was the trip off the island bad?
But you didn't try to leave at 1, Greg. Because we were waiting for Hannah for the picture.
Yeah.
But I was told. So I took the ferry too. Greg and I took the ferry on Friday to the park. It was a good experience. I think it was like $22 one way. Took you right into the park. We got there 5 minutes before the event started. Everything worked great. I tried to take the ferry the second day, but they just stopped selling tickets, even though it was like 9:30 a.m. And I was like, I would assume you would still be running ferries at like 9:30, 10. But Saturday did sell out. Sunday did not sell out, and Friday did not sell out. So maybe that's why they stopped selling tickets. Unsure. So the ways I got to the park was the ferry, and then we walked off the park with Hannah the first day, which was the Southwest, I think you said.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second day, I took the train, super easy, 3 stops, express, $2.90. Train station was 2 blocks away from that bridge we just talked about. You walk off the bridge, you're there. And then we pretty much took that same train back into the city. So like transportation to the park, because there was also buses. There was also technically Uber if you didn't want to take the train, where people didn't want to take the train. There was multiple ways to get on and off the island, which I appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
That island, and I am saying this very strongly, not lightly, is the worst park they have ever picked out of all 8 years. That park is terrible. It's no shade. It looks visually bad. And there's like a giant construction zone in the middle, and every single person I talked to that was there last year, I was like, was this construction zone here last year? And they were like, yep. And I was like, did they make any progress on it from last year? They were like, nope.
No,
Construction-wise,
that
no,
is not a
but
thing.
Niantic knew that it was there this time, so at least they made that kind of a dead zone and routed people
Yeah.
around it in a slightly easier way this time.
Slightly, but I mean, the amount of open space was somewhat accounted for on the south side by big tents. There needed to be more of them, and the thought of walking across that death parking lot to get to the merchandise booth,
Yep.
absolutely not. People's like, well, come with me to pick up. I'm like, I am not walking across molten lava right
You
now.
can
But that's-
feel
that's
your
very
shoes
much.
melting there.
That's
Yeah, it
why the
was
island felt like a
abysmal.
frying pan, because they had a giant parking lot that just heated up where the merch like that. It was
Yeah.
for those that weren't there. There was like this nice grassy area, and then that was next to like a stadium. And the first day there were like Navy people like running track at that stadium, and then there was a parking lot behind the stadium. And then next to that was just a giant cement field that was equal in size to the green part of this park. And then at the end of this cement field, because it wasn't a parking lot, it was just pure concrete poured, was the merch tent. And there was not enough trees, there was like not enough greenery. Like, it was just a bad park.
Yeah.
And the construction zone that separated the two parks, technically they're two parks, was all cement and you're literally walking through a construction zone from one park to the other. And the other side of the park, some good things about the park, they had food trucks on both sides, they had water stations on both sides. They should have had more water stations, but like,
They had more tents. A
Yep.
lot more tents. Anything for shade.
More shade, more seating,
they
better water stations.
They should have. I haven't been to a single Go Fest where there isn't more than one Team Mystic, Team Valor, Team Instinct, and there should be more of those tents. But it's not a very good park. Like, even the Vegas park had construction. We talked about how a bunch of people like climbed on the giant dirt hill, and then like they had to like physically put a security guard on the top of this giant dirt hill to prevent people from climbing it. but at least like that park had like different biomes, and there was one part of that park that was incredibly shaded, with like the pond and everything. And like, it was a cool park for what it was. Like, I'm sure it's better now because they were in midst of construction to that park. But they're like, if you were to remove all the Pokemon Go stuff from Randall's Island, it's just grass and cement.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And like 4 trees. Like, it's such a bad park.
There are more trees than that. They're just young trees. It's gonna take some time.
The young trees, they're on the perimeter, which isn't particularly helpful.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, they're keeping the middle open for what other events that you would do, like concerts and stuff where trees would get damaged and ruined. Fine. Like, I get all that. You know those trees aren't there. Put up a tent. Put up large umbrellas. Put up anything to get shade. It was not a secret that it was going to be hot a month before that trip. Like, everybody knew it was going to be at least in the 80s, possibly the 90s. I mean, there were heat advisories. Like, it was 93 degrees, but because of the humidity, it felt like 105 each day.
The humidity was in the high
down.
60s or low 70s the whole time.
Yeah. And like, I wore a tank top and a shirt thinking, it's supposed to be breezy this morning. It'll be fine. And when I literally got to the ferry, I'm like, I can only wear the tank top because it is already too hot.
So comparing it to like the other to compare it to the other 2 Go Fest I went to this year, and we did a bonus podcast where I talk about Madrid more in depth. So if you're like a Patreon subscriber or an Apple Podcast subscriber, you can like listen to more in-depth thoughts of Madrid. But I will say right now, the Madrid park was 4 times bigger than the New York park, and it was gorgeous. Like easily, like, now that I've been to like 13 Go Fest, I think, because there's been like 7, but I've been to like multiple ones in the same year. I can't remember what it's called. San Paulo, something. Just an absolutely gorgeous park from in so much shade. Were there parts of that park that didn't have shade? 100%. There was, the like where you find Smoliv for the first time in Scarlet and Violet with like all those like little smaller trees that existed in that park. There's a whole field of it, and it was like so cool to be like, I caught a Smoliv here.
I think also it was so hard because there was nothing to look at. You couldn't really distract yourself much. You're like a big open field, scraggly trees. There's the food trucks, and then you went to the north, and I'm like, oh, big open field.
I was grateful for everyone I was there with. That was my distraction, along with all of the tasks we were trying to complete within the designated time.
But there was no reason to stay on that island to look at anything. If you completed your mission in the first hour, just go. What are you going to do there?
Well, they did have some photo opportunity things. I don't think I went over to a single one of them, but
I tried to get anybody to go stand in the unbearable heat to wait half an hour to get a picture taken with a giant Pikachu, and university said, you can go stand out there and die if you want to. Okay. We're not leaving.
Still stand by. Friday morning is still the best time to play.
100%. Get it out of the way.
It was way easier to get pictures.
Yeah, although weather-wise, I think Sunday morning actually won in the park this time. Because that was the day it was somewhat cloudy.
Yes, Sunday was cloudy. But like they had the 4 biomes, and each biome has like something to do. Like, and when I mean something to do, I just mean like stand here, get a photo. That's kind of it. But like they're still cool. Like they're still cool experiences. I don't think they should stop doing them. I think they're really great. This is the one thing that Japan has always done bad is like, I don't know why, but like in Madrid, there was this grassy cave like forest thing that you walked into, and it had these huge mushrooms, and they had this like smoke machine. It was like super, super cool. I like Tone, one of the Slack supporters, like took a picture of me and I posted it. It was just like super cool. And they had something like this in New York, which was like a rocky cave, charged stone like cave, which had like not air conditioning, but it had like a huge fan inside.
A huge fan.
It felt 20 degrees colder when you walked in.
But there was a line to get in.
Yes, but on Friday we waited like less than 3 minutes to get in. On Saturday, you were waiting like a half hour to get in easily on that. And then Madrid had water stations everywhere, like probably like 8 to 10 different water stations over the park. Now, again, the Madrid park was much bigger, and the New York had 2 water stations, and each water station had like 10 faucets. But for whatever reason, people were like hogging 3 faucets, or people didn't want. It wasn't like intentionally hogging.
The southern
but
water station didn't have very good water pressure, from what I was hearing and seeing, and so
it
would take like 5 minutes to fill up a single water bottle. That seemed bad. The northern water station was a totally different thing. And if they had just had more of those, if they had just had 2 or 3 more of those, I think it would have been much better.
And I feel like that's such a simple solution to, like, I don't know where maybe it's not. Maybe it's like we need a water line to hook up to, and these are the only 2 water lines. Maybe, but
I don't think the southern one even had a water line, because the northern one was up by a bathroom, and so that's why they were, I think, able to have a big truck with good water pressure up there. As far as I could tell, at the southern water station, it was just buckets of water that their employees kept replacing throughout the day.
I don't know what Madrid's were. They were like single use ones. The Madrid ones seemed like the ones you see at the airport, where you just like put your water bottle in and it like auto senses it and it drops down. But they just had like these individual ones like scattered around the park. And I went to the park on Friday and Saturday in Madrid, and none of them had lines ever. They were just very accessible. I don't know what the solution for that is, Niantic. I don't, like, you had a giant cement field. I don't know, bring in a giant truck and just park it there, and then have faucets coming out of that. Like, I think one extra water station on each part of that park, so 4 total, would have solved a lot of problems for sure. I think the amount of food trucks they did was great. New York had like triple the amount of food trucks that Madrid did. I would say that's probably one of Madrid's, for as big as that park was, they had like 10 food trucks, whereas New York had 10 food trucks on one side and then like another 20 on the other side. So I think they did a really great job with food. Obviously, you could get water there. Both cell phone services at New York and Madrid felt fantastic. I don't think I heard anyone having issues in the park itself.
Yeah.
So they solved that. I had a ton of issues, and some of the people I was with, like my friend Julie, who has lived in Japan for like 5 years, she had issues in the park in Sendai. And it wasn't like terrible. It was just like, oh, we can't stand here. It's a dead spot. We need to like walk.
Yeah. I think
2 minutes this way to get out of it.
the problem with the cell service also is it's really hard to determine how much of people's interference was the fact that it was so hot. So the cell network and your phones were overheating, and when they get to a certain temperature, they just drop network. It just the towers don't work as well. It's just everything is overheated, and there's so many people. But I think I didn't lose connection much as the heat was heating my phone up so much that it was doing anything it possibly could to try to conserve itself.
You need one of those little phone umbrellas.
Maybe.
I don't think that would have helped.
I had to stop playing for a little bit too because my phone was stuck at 3% for maybe an hour. Fully charging. It was plugged into a charger.
I
Very
will say
strong charger.
I bought one of those phone coolers.
Yeah.
The ones that MagSafe to the back of your iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
It was like $40.
Mm-hmm.
I had one before. I had the Razer one, and I didn't think it worked at all. I brought that to Osaka last year, which Osaka was 114 degrees. If you remember me talking about that. And this new one I bought, it worked. Like,
right.
I never got the heat warning. When I didn't use it, I could like see my graphics get chunky on the device. And you can always tell where like your screen dims and you can't like make it brighter because it's so hot that its default is to dim the screen. I bought like the average one, so I think I'm going to return it and get like their super one, which I think is like $20 more because I wasn't completely convinced, but after the weekend I was like, well, everyone else was having slowdown and like charging issues, so
Seemed
and
to work.
I was playing and streaming, so I know my phone was like, when you're screen recording your phone and then also uploading that to the internet constantly, that's a lot more work than just playing Pokemon Go, and you just rip through battery so quick. The other thing I want to talk about is the city experience. I think the city experience for New York was great. I think most people prefer the city experience if they've been to several of these events. And I think one of the reasons why the city experience was great was because the city was like 5 degrees cooler than that island was. Just because the buildings provided shade, there was more trees. It was way easier to hop into a 7-Eleven to get a water that was like $5 because it's New York.
Yep.
But like, the city experience was great.
Yeah.
There was, for some reason, I couldn't see, or people I was with couldn't see any official routes. I swore they said there was going to be official routes, but there wasn't any. So I didn't try any routes. I did talk about in our Madrid episode that I really did genuinely enjoy the routes they made in Madrid, especially as somebody who's never been to Madrid. I've been to New York 20 times. Like, I kind of know what I've seen. Like, oh, don't go down this street, it leads to Times Square, we don't want to go there. So the things that like stood out to me was like Japan had this like Lapras experience that you could only get in Japan, where you could meet Lapras. They had the Lapras Cafe, they had the Poke Lid, and then Madrid had this like soccer/football experience that you could do. And I don't think New York had any experience. It was just
There was some sports player who was there, I think.
That's true. You could beat that basketball player, I guess. They had the Google Play thing.
They did have the Google Play thing. Yeah.
Yep. Sure was.
But there was like nothing that really made that a little bit more unique or gave you a reason to really like stay or go to the island, I guess. I don't know. That island was like I get why it's there. It's away from everything. Central Park, I'm sure, is a nightmare to try to rent out or to do.
Like, oh yeah. No, I don't. Like, I can't even imagine how that would work.
I understand why it's there, but when I think of like 76 Expo, the Madrid Park, from what I heard of the London Park, I can't remember which one that was. Just all the other parks I've been to, Lincoln Park or where the Millennial Bean is in Chicago, just the Randall's Island is not anything special. It is a park by definition, and that is it.
Yeah.
But the thing about the city experience and why I think it really works in these cities like Madrid or Sendai or Osaka or New York or Seattle is just the spawn density is so good. You have all the Pokestops lit up. You have your lure on. You have your rending with your Palkia, and you're just getting so many spawns, and you can kind of go wherever you want. And I think that's what people really like. I didn't bring this up in our Madrid episode, but when I went to like Retrio, I don't remember what it's called. It's like Retrio Park in Madrid. It's like their version of Central Park. It's like this huge, gorgeous park. Like, makes sense why like Go Fest wouldn't be there, because there's just too many little things and like narrow paths and stuff. And when I was there, I had like cell phone issues. My stream backpack has 2 different SIM cards. The 2 phones I use, one to read chat and then one to play Pokemon Go, each of those have 2 different SIM cards. So I'm like walking through this park with like 6 different SIM cards. And they're all having issues. Like, I'm switching. I'm like, let's try Movie Star. Let's switch over to Vodafone. Let's try 5G. Let's try LTE. And I'm like, I didn't have any issues when I played in the normal city. I didn't have any issues in the park. But in this park, I had a ton of issues. And it was also frustrating because people were like, oh, this park is great. We do community days here. This park is wonderful. And the spawn density I felt in that park just wasn't good. And it felt like if I didn't have Palkia going, it just wouldn't be worth it to be there. Now, that being said, like, all those stops were lured up, like everything, like, it was, there were definitely people playing and doing raids. But as soon as I jumped back into the city and went to like central Madrid, it's just like everything feels better. There's just so many more spawns. There's so many more people, like, easier to jump into buildings to like get shade and stuff. And I think I felt the same way about Central Park, 100%. And shout out to, we had over 100 people show up at the Apple Store, and not all 100 people went into the park with us. A lot of people said hi and like they had to run, but we ended up getting a picture of like 83 people or something inside Central Park, but before people started like also leaving. Do you know why some people started leaving? And this is no shade to them, I 100% understood, is because the spawn density sucked in Central Park.
Not just that, though.
Not just that. Some people straight up was like, I want a shiny hunt, and there's just not enough spawns here. And it felt exactly like Retrio Park. And I understand how Pokemon Go works. It's based off like cell phone traffic. But if you have the option of being in Central Park or deeper into the city, and you only care about getting as much shinies as possible, Central Park is not the play. Now, we had to be in Central Park because we had 80 people following us, and trying to cross traffic with 80 people, very hard. So as like a casual experience, it was really great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's Central Park was recommended by Niantic as a place to play, and I'm glad we played there. I have no regrets of going, but I totally understood why people were like, I caught everything here. I think that's like the thing you think of is like, okay, we stopped here for a raid, and I caught everything here, and we're waiting for people to finish before we move, but there's nothing to do because the spawns aren't there. Whereas when you're in the park at GO Fest, or when you're downtown New York, or when Greg and I are at Mall of America, when you stop, there's too much to
Yeah, there's too much.
and you just can't catch everything because by the time you're done, more things are spawning in, especially if you have Palkia running.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a big element of it with Central Park, but also there were just too many people in the park playing to the point where that was where we were creating dead zones. We had fine signal in the actual park for the event on Randall's Island, but in Central Park, almost everybody lost signal at some point.
Yeah, it was similar to that.
Park isn't great, and there's a lot that can be said about the fact that there are a lot of regulations and a lot of things that go on to make it sure that Central Park has okay but not great service for a lot of reasons. So the fact that there are so many people there, also it's a large national park that towers can't really go inside, so you're kind of relying on the periphery a lot, amongst other considerations. It's not an ideal place to be, and at that point, on Sunday, after trying to play, I was like, my phone is dead.
Yeah.
I don't even have a ticket for this day. I just want to be here talking to the 80 people that are here. I just put my phone away and I was done, which was,
Yeah, which was totally cool. Like to anyone that was like, I can't stick around, it's too hot, my phone's dead, I don't want to do raid. Like, I totally understand. And I'm not making anyone feel bad. I'm just giving the experience that Central Park was not great spawn wise and not great reception wise.
Yeah.
Because almost everyone in our group, when we got to that very center park of Central Park, there was like 7 raids there. And no one could get reception.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until we started moving back away from the center where people were like, okay, reception's coming back. I can get into this.
The game is starting to work again. Like Cody said, it was fantastic vibes with our group. Everyone was great. We were all having a lot of fun with each other, but also the game was not working.
So, I don't know if there was any... again, that's why I compared the Madrid Central Park, and then New York Central Park to similar, because I'm assuming they have similar zoning things of like, we can't just put a tower straight in the middle of this park.
Right.
And so the deeper into that park you get, you're just on the fringe of cell phone network.
Right.
We weren't even that deep into the park. We were just in the middle of the,
But when you have normal traffic, it's fine. When you have super heavy traffic, it is not going to be fine.
When you have 2 massive raid trains passing each other in one specific part of the park, everything goes down.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are some very intense raid trains that happen at these events. The raid train that I put on was not intense at all, and that was very purposeful. Like, we're all exhausted on day 3. The park is at least shaded. Like, easy to get together.
There was cloud cover. Everyone just wanted to hang out and make sure everyone was hydrated enough.
But it was a good Go Fest. It was great. I'm very curious if Niantic signed a 3-year deal with Randall's Park, and we're going to get Randall's Park again. Which
a lot of people seem to think so.
Yeah.
which maybe that construction will be finished.
No.
But like I don't
Nope.
but like if they're going to do Randall's Park a third time, which is fine, cuz like I think the space itself is fine. But if they were to up the amount of tents, up the amount of water stations, maybe add like one or two more things to make it a little bit more unique that would also have shade in some way. Because I think when like you have something so hot, which they can't control, even if it was like super hot or super rainy, if there were just more tent opportunities, people would be like, you know what? Let's take a 20-minute break and meet Pikachu, because like that area is shaded and that's fine. I think they're so close to like the park doesn't matter as much as the space does. That at least in that instance of New York, they could just add a couple more things to make it a little bit better. Like do something with that cement, like bring in like a water truck or something and have people line up. The like side note, the one thing that drove me crazy is they put the battles in direct sunlight. Like I understand why the trading booth area is in direct sunlight, because they don't want people to go to the trading booth, sit down in the shade, and just stay there because they're not trading. They want people to get in, trade, and get out to keep that movement going. So I understand why it's in the sun, even though like it's slightly cruel, but I like get it. If you're gonna be like, hey, do you guys want to go battle? Like, well, you'll get a little reward when you're done. No, I do not want to stand in direct sunlight and battle somebody. I just don't. Like, if that was shaded like it was in Madrid, it was in a like huge shaded gazebo, I would be like, you know what, Greg? You want to battle for 10 minutes?
Yeah,
we will be in the shade. And I guarantee you, Greg would have been like, yes, let's do that.
Let's do that. How long can we make this last?
Like, how slow can we do this battle right now?
I have to tap for us to be here for 4 hours?
So there's just like some really like odd decisions, but as you can tell, out of all three Go Fests, neither were like really perfect. But
they're learning, though. Small things are being improved. Not everything, but this year on the island was better than last year on the island in some ways, except for the weather, which they couldn't control.
Yeah.
Though
I
they
think
probably could have planned better for it.
Game technically at all three Go Fests worked great. Like, as somebody who went to all three, the tech support booth at all three had almost no one in it at all times. I'm not saying there weren't people with tech issues, because people might be using older phones or whatnot, or maybe forgot to download assets or whatever. There's tons of issues that can go wrong. But like the game technically worked really well. So I think they've figured that out. And at least on Randall's Island and in Madrid, they have figured out the right amount of cows and where to put them. So at least if they are going back to Randall's Island, the cell phone situation should not get worse. Right? Like they figured it out. Put them in the same spots. Yeah, it's just an ugly park though.
Mm-hmm.
See, that was my only experience with a Go Fest last year and this year, both on Randall's Island, so I hadn't had anything to compare it to. Now I want even more for it to come back to the Pacific Northwest and be in Seattle again, because I heard that was a great park that everyone enjoyed, and it's nearby for me.
The problem with the Seattle one was the line for the Pokemon Center. Like you were spending all 4 hours in that line if you wanted.
That's how it was on Randall's Island too. I don't know if you even tried to go in there, but last year I had to go on a totally different day to even get in, because if I was trying to go during the hours that I was supposed to be playing, I would not finish all of the research.
The Sure Pickup thing that they switched over to 2 or 3 years ago was good. The
Sure Pickup works well. Where
you just show your QR code and you take it. Worked great. I think the ferry thing is absolutely fantastic. I think that like it was just a cool way to get to Go Fest.
Yeah. It was a cool way to get to Go. It was a cool way to leave Go Fest because we waited 15 minutes, we're on a ferry, and went back.
Yeah,
on a
just that's a
lovely
really
trip.
really cool experience. I was told, I heard the buses were a little messy on the first day. Like,
They
wasn't
seemed
sure
really crowded.
Yeah.
Oh, messy with people or messy because it's just New York messy? Because New York has got a bit of a mess problem.
I wasn't, when they said it was messy, I didn't ask, was it the passenger's fault or was it the driver's fault?
Were they
What kind
messy
of-
people or messy environs?
Unsure on that. I think these events are 100% worth traveling to, for sure.
Especially if you have a community.
If you have a community or there's a group that you're going to go with, they are 100% worth traveling for. If you're going by yourself and you don't know anybody,
it's a whole different experience, and at that point you have to decide what that means to you.
Yeah. Like, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for a weekend.
Well, there's a lot of people that go to concerts by themselves. And
Yeah,
ideally they meet
not
people
a
there.
3-day city event.
I think like EDC is like 2 days. You could headbang in Vegas.
Yeah, but I don't know. At these events, you're very in your phone when you're on the island. You're very focused, especially this year when you were really just trying to finish so that you could not be in the sun anymore. And so you can meet new people, but I don't know. Maybe I was just so satisfied with our group of fantastic community members that I didn't even try.
I talked to some cool people on the subway. They were debating about what to lucky trade. And they were like, I don't know if Necrozma is worth the lucky trade. And I turned to them and I was like, you're out of your mind. You should if you both got shiny Necrozma and you're lucky, yes, you should trade those. And they're like, all right, dude. They were really cool guys, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a good experience in New York, minus the heat, but
yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised only Saturday sold out. When you look at Japan,
it was 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, it was a bad weekend. Having it over 4th of July.
I thought that was a good okay, real talk. It was a great weekend. I took an Uber from the airport to my hotel only because it said 15 minutes and it was only like $30, which is one, the cheapest Uber I've ever taken in New York. Two, the fastest Uber I've ever taken in New York. You know why? Because there was no traffic on 4th of July. We got to our hotel so quickly and so cheap that I was like, this is mind-blowing.
Yeah, but
no one is traveling today.
Leaving after the event was a little much.
Yeah,
there were definitely people traveling on that day.
The Uber out was not $30. It was
what was your price?
Mine was
your price when you looked?
75.
Oh, that was I was leaving at 11 and I opened up my Lyft to get an Uber to get a Lyft, and it was $350.
What? On Monday morning?
Yep.
Did you go to LGA?
Huh?
LaGuardia?
Yeah.
I ordered mine the night before. Maybe that's why it was cheaper.
Possibly. I didn't take it. Because when you have lifted Uber, but also you have a very extensive network of taxi cabs that know how to get around, I just got a taxi.
Did the taxi take card?
$40.
Where the taxis take card, right?
Yeah. You can do it on the app. You can prepay. I prepaid on the app.
I'd like a taxi app?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, all the taxis have apps. Like they have iHail here, they have Curb there. Like if you can just you can also go to your front desk and say, I need a taxi. And they're like, okay. And in the taxi, if you didn't pay online, they have the card reader right there attached right in front of you.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll take that. The thing though, taxi drivers are wild drivers. I forget how fast they have no fear. This is their job. It's like being at NASCAR, I was just like, I'm going to be sick. We're moving so fast and weaving in and out of traffic. I'm like, I'm not any way, shape, or form late for my flight, but that was not a deterrent. It was just 90.
If I was by myself, I would have just taken the subway. Or if I was going to JFK, I would have just taken the subway because there is no subway to LaGuardia. It's like subway and then bus. But I was with somebody, so who is not a very good subway taker. So it's like, it's fine. We'll just Uber. It's okay. It's not terribly expensive. It is what I expected for New York. All right. Let's take one last break, and then there's a bunch of Scarlet and Violet news, so we will be right back. And we are back from our break. They did the thing and gave us a whole calendar event of Pokemon things to do.
In Scarlet and Violet specifically.
Yes.
Specifically in this.
Which I feel like they should do more often. They said this is off the Pokemon's website. Special Terra raid event battles and mass outbreaks coming in 4 seasonal events. So they broke them down into different parts. Part 1 will be Search for Pikachu and Friends. Pikachu with the Mightiest Mark will be making its return to 7-star raids. Pikachu will appear with the Water Terra type. If you've caught this special Pikachu, you cannot catch it again. I believe that like Pikachu had like a 1 in 6 chance of being Jumbo the first time it came around. But if you already caught it, you can't catch it again. So if you were assuming it is going to be exactly the same moveset, same nature, same everything, should still be Jumbo. You're gonna have to use your other copy, whether that's Scarlet or Violet. You have to turn off autosave, catch it, check to see the size. If it's not, reset and do it again. So I have raid counters up on YouTube with Pokemon that can do that. Also, during this event, look for mass outbreaks with Pichu throughout Paldea. Mass outbreaks Pikachu and Mimikyu will be in Kitakami. Mass outbreaks of Raichu and Alolan Raichu will be in the Blueberry Academy. Alolan Raichu cannot be normally encountered during regular gameplay, and shiny Pokemon are more likely to appear in the special mass outbreak. And this will run from Friday, June 12th, UTC time, which is Thursday at like 7 p.m. Central Time, through Thursday, July 25th till midnight UTC time. So you have a 2-week event with 7-star Pikachu and 2 weeks of Pikachu, Pichu, Mimikyu, Raichu, and Alolan Raichu for mass outbreaks. Which pretty good on its own, honestly.
If you're looking for any of those shinies, especially.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, like, obviously intentional since they cut the Pokedex. That was intentional. But I think making, like, Hisuian Pokemon or Alolan Pokemon, like, spawn not naturally in the game for an event is, like, really exciting. Like, the amount of people I've seen just over the moon excited that Alolan Raichu will be surfing around in the wild is, like, really cool. And it's a cool Pokemon.
Yeah, I think it'll be worth at least opening the game and connecting to the internet even just to see that. To see where they end up being. Run into a couple in the wild, even if you're not looking for a shiny.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's the same boosted shiny odds as past mass outbreaks. I can't imagine they're going to be different. Cool that it came back. Mm-hmm. So Charizard came back. It was exactly the same Charizard. Pikachu coming back. I would assume that we would see other 7-star raid bosses eventually come back. But there will be a new 7-star raid boss for part 2. This will take place as soon as the Pikachu event is over. So from Friday, July 26th to Thursday, August 8th. We go back in time.
It's reversing time.
Dondozo with the Mightiest Mark will appear in 7-star raids. It will be the Water Terra type, so that's confirmed. During this event, they will have mass outbreaks of Curly Form Tasaguri in Paldea. droopy form Tasaguri in Kitakami, and mass outbreaks of stretchy form Tasaguri in the Blueberry Academy. Shiny Pokemon are more likely to appear.
I never know which form is what color.
Now you only have to, like, once you figure it out, though, you're like, okay, I got the Kitakami one. I can move on to Paldea. Very straightforward. I think, again, this is such a good thematic event. Like, you put Dondozo in 7 stars, then you put Tasaguri's in Outbreaks for 2 weeks. Like, what a cool event.
Yeah, it's a cute idea.
Dondozo is already a 6-star nightmare.
Yeah.
Like, that raid can start off so well, and then as soon as Rain Dance goes up, and then you're hit with a yawn, and then he wave crashes you, you're like, oh, we're done. We lost. Like, we messed this up. Exciting though. I love 7-star raids, so I'll probably start building for that probably after this weekend, because I probably won't have to grind out Pikachu that long. But I think off the top of my head, Zarina would be really good for Dondozo, because Zarina's Trop Kick would lower Dondozo's attack, and Dondozo's a physical attacker, plus the grass resistance. But this is like, I have all the Pikachus as shiny, but I only have one Tasaguri as shiny, so that, like, I'm definitely shiny hunting this event for sure. Part 3 is Celebrate the World Championships. Chest form Gimmighoul will appear in 1 to 5-star raid battles. These chest forms will have various terra types. If you challenge one in a 5-star, you'll have a small chance of encountering the shiny chest form Gimmighoul, which doesn't appear during normal gameplay. During this event, mass outbreaks of Wattrel through Paldea, Riolu through Kitakami, and Comfey through Blueberry Academy. Shiny Pokemon are more likely to appear. Also, Pokemon appearing in special outbreaks will more likely have the pumped up mark. So this is the first time they've done that. Both shiny and mark increase at the same time. This is the first time they're ever doing that. They did go out and say you will have a small chance of encountering chest form Gimmighoul. The odds last time were 1 in 4,000.
Yeah. It was real bad.
I think when they say small chance, it means it will still be 1 in
It will still be the small chance.
Which is a shame, because that's one people are really excited about.
Here, how can I word this? There has always been a hacked raid problem in Pokemon games since Sword and Shield, where, Zacian.net or Machamps.com or Gengar.gov, they're putting their shiny hacked raids up on it. And for the most part, if you do them and you catch them, like, nothing bad happens. It's just they manipulated it for that to happen. And I think that more players that are playing currently are seeing more of those raids, not because there are more hackers out there. I think people are just seeing those raids more often because there are just less normal players playing.
Yeah.
I started Scarlet for reasons, and I was in the process of trying to unlock 6-star raids, and I'm like, this is hacking, because I got 2 shiny raids back to back.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, I'll take it because the game doesn't care.
You're not the one who,
But also, come on, like, back to back? Back to back?
Buy a lottery ticket, Greg.
That's not a lot. Look, if somebody could say, hey, I've got a winning lottery ticket for you because I hacked the system, yeah, I'll buy that lottery ticket. Because that's what happened. I did not earn either one of those.
Yeah, I would expect that there will be a lot of shiny Gimmighouls for 2 weeks, just because.
Yeah.
Unless a bunch of people come back to the game.
Yeah,
and then those get filled
when I was
up with...
trying to do raids to unlock them, pulling up that menu before you had 6-star and 7-star raids, it would just come up blank, and I'm like, there's nothing here.
Nobody's doing them.
I can't do them. I can't actually progress this part of the story to unlock the thing that there's going to be more of, because I cannot actually find a 5-star raid to do. And then if I undo mine, hit or miss if somebody's going to be able to show up. Couldn't tell you.
I feel like for the most part, you don't want those people to show up.
Oh, I know.
The NPCs have gotten better since the DLC. They'll heal you now. So we'll have two. So during August 9th through August 22nd. So while people are at Worlds, while there's a World Championship, there'll be the Gimme Ghoul raids, and then there'll be Watrel, Riolu, Comfey in Mass Outbreaks. And then after that, from August 23rd to September 1st, so it's only like 8 days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why Dragonite doesn't get the full 2-week treatment, apparently. Dragonite with the mightiest mark will appear for the first time in 7-star raids. It will be normal as its Terra type, which makes complete sense because normal Terra extreme speed Dragonite was incredibly dominant for a very long time. During this event, look for outbreaks of Larvitar and Bagon throughout Paldea, mass outbreaks of Gloomy and Hisuian Sliggoo in Kitakami, which is really cool, and mass outbreaks of Beldum in the Blueberry Academy. Hisuian Sliggoo cannot be normally encountered. Shiny Pokemon are more likely to appear. And also, these Pokemon will more likely have the charismatic mark. And I just double-checked the Pikachu stuff. No mark boosted at all. It's just the last 2 events of the 4 events. That's like a lot of events to announce at once for the Pokemon.
They needed to get their summer stuff out of the way.
Yeah, it's like all the stuff that's leading up to Worlds, and they just wanted to like get it out of the way. So
it's up to Worlds and it's after Worlds. It's just summer. This is just summer. Which is, I guess, why they're putting the starters on hold, too? As far as we can tell?
Oh, yeah. So I think there's 5 starters left for Alligator, Torterra, Infernape, Serperior, and our boy Incineroar. I think there's 5 left. Yeah. Every single 7-star has had their hidden ability. Even Eevee, and that was a bad ability for Eevee. It would have been way better for Eevee to have any other ability than its hidden ability. So Dondozo's a hidden ability would be Water Veil, which means you cannot burn it, which is actually really good for Dondozo because burning a physical attacker goes a long way. So you won't be able to burn. And then Dragonite's hidden ability, is that multi-scale or is that normal for Dragonite? Let me double check. It is multi-scale. I don't know how that would work in raids. So multi-scale reduces the damage by half when it's maximum HP. Now you might be saying, well, only on the first turn would that matter. But technically, a raid boss has 30 HP bars. You just don't see them at once. And the Pokemon that took advantage of that and was kind of really weird was Typhlosion with Eruption, because sometimes Eruption would do a lot of damage and sometimes it would do nothing, but you couldn't visually tell which of the 30 HP bars you were on. So I guess there will be just some moves that just get reduced 30 times.
I guess.
Yeah. I think. I don't think it doesn't really change the strategy of the raid, right? It's just like sometimes when you would hit Dragonite, it's just not going to do as much damage.
Yeah. Which you already have that when it does random number generation anyways. So I guess sometimes it's going to be even worse. Like, I don't know how you're going to know.
Yeah. Dragonite's attack is very high, 135. You can burn the Dragonite, though. And then Dondozo's attack is 100. So yeah, Dragonite hits a little bit harder.
Yeah.
I love that they just announced 2 months of content for Scarlet and Violet. I think that's a cool thing to do. And I mean, they really kind of showed their hand before the DLC of what like future things look like, which is mass outbreaks and raids. But
Yeah.
I think that's like good free content that gets you to come back. It's not like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
buy this or pay a microtransaction or get a battle pass. Like, if you're done with Pokemon, you're done with Pokemon. But if you're looking for something to do, or you haven't gotten these shinies, or you enjoy 7-star raids, like, I think this is great long-term support for a game. Fix the frame rate.
Good luck.
At this point,
That ship has sailed
yeah.
to Randall's Island. Yeah, I wonder what the fall schedule will look like, because once we're in September, October, November, December, we have 5 starters left, and that's 4 months, and they've
Mhm.
usually been doing a starter every like 3 weeks.
They gotta ramp it
Yeah.
up. Get them in.
So,
Get them
but
done.
I
No,
would
that's
also-
just enough time to get it in by the end of the year. And then say next big game is out in January, maybe? 2025.
I hope so.
No, we're not getting it in January.
It's a Legends game. We don't know that yet.
I don't think so. I think we will get a release date for that game in February.
Yeah.
January's a long month, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what company would just want to skip Christmas sales at this point. Because at least with that 1 year, they had BDSP carry through Christmas.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? I think that's our episode. A lot of stuff coming. So, and when this episode goes up, we'll be exactly a month away from the World Championships. So that's exciting. So we'll see how that goes. I guess if we were to hear about Legends, it would probably be there.
Yeah, probably.
Yep. Most likely time before Pokemon Day of next year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm completely convinced we hear about Legends at Worlds. Like, they could just show the same trailer again, and I guess somebody could be like, "See, they did it." I was like, "Yeah, I guess."
I mean, we'll mention it. Probably.
I think for sure we see Pocket, and we get a release date for Pocket, 100%. Because they said Pocket was coming this year. They did not.
I mean,
they just said Legends was
2025.
Yeah, they didn't even say early.
Mm-hmm.
And if Pocket is as big as I'm personally expecting, then I would assume all their marketing is going to go into that.
They haven't marketed a mobile game like that in a while, so that would be interesting.
They didn't really have to market Pokemon Go, which
no,
probably
would have
been the.
Did.
They didn't have it. Just became that success.
It just was what it was.
When I think of like Marvel Snap, like that game had so much marketing behind it, but it was also, from what I've been told, very good.
It was a very good game.
I think I recently learned that the lead developer of Hearthstone left Blizzard to then make Marvel Snap.
That makes sense.
Yep.
So I would say that they did kind of do a lot of advertising behind Masters. Like, I kind of felt like they were really hyping up Masters more than a lot of their mobile stuff at the time.
And rightly so, that game runs.
Even Unite remember when Unite got that whole press conference and people were so mad because it was not Let's Go Johto?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But Unite's also a good game.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's a good game right now.
I just think that Pocket is going to be a very long-term. In this episode, we just talked about how Honkai Star Rail made $95 million in a month. And like, It's very cool. Pokemon Sleep made $100 million in a year. But when I'm thinking of like what Pokemon game can make $50+ million in a month, it is a TCG pocket
Yeah.
game.
Oh,
for
for
sure.
sure. Those are like quick TCG games are the mobile dream for most companies. If you can figure that out, it just prints money.
Yeah, I have no clue how much Marvel Snap makes, but I'm assuming a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Assuming a lot. All right, we'll be back next week. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Greg. This has been another episode of the Pokemon Podcast, and we are
super effective.
Super. Switching from Go Fest mode into Pokemon Sleep Anniversary, it is time to rest mode.
But there's another Go Fest this weekend.
No, but not when this episode comes out. It'll be done then.
Yeah, but I'm telling you right now, don't turn everything off. You got another weekend to get through.
I know. We'll get through it. And also, thank you so much to the community who helped me get to Pokemon Go Fest New York. I wanted to I wanted to make sure I said that. Thank you to everyone. The community here was the only reason I was able to get there. And I know it was there was a lot of weather, but I had so much fun. Thank you all.
Me too.
Yay.